We are into match day 12 in the Premier League, almost a third of the way through the season. We have one more weekend of games before we head into an international break. Chelsea have another massive one this weekend when they welcome top of the table Manchester City to Stamford Bridge. I'm Andrew Passaro. He's Ani Sridhar, and the boys, much like the weather outside, are ice cold. Europa League, I think I'm over on Europa League the last 2 weeks, and I gave out way too many plays to go over. I'm sad. I'm ashamed. I feel like I'm bringing dishonor to my family name right now. But the only way to get out of a cold streak is to get back on the horse. And that's what we're here to do on the Plus Money Podcast, your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. Follow us on Twitter at Andrew Passaro, at Ani Sridhar 23, at the Plus Money Pod. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and like. And if you're on a podcast app, please hit us with a 5-star review. Ani, we are into the bleak midwinter, as they say on one of our favorite shows, The Peaky Blinders. We don't need to go on to how bad our picks have been the last couple of days. I think the only thing to do here is just to get right into it. And I know you're going to another team that's going through it right now, and that's Manchester United coming off their 4-3 loss at Copenhagen. And, at least no one's going to fire us from this podcast, but maybe Eric Ten Hag will get fired at Man United.
Is it Copenhagen or Copenhagen?
I have no idea. I kind of go both.
It kind of reminds me of that scene from Crazy Stupid Love. Is it Lindhagen or Lindhagen?
All I know is I want to punch that guy in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to punch myself in the face after what happened this week when it comes to betting. But I do have a bet from this Manchester United team and from this game. They do have a favorable. I mean, I've been saying it every week, but this is a great get right spot for this team. They should absolutely roll at home against Luton Town. And I think after scoring a brace against his former team, Rasmus Højlund is definitely getting some confidence. He's looking like he's hitting his stride. His anytime goal score is at plus 115. I think that's great value in this plus matchup, and he should find the back of the net. So that's my play from this game.
That's a good number. That's a good number for Rasmus. I'm going to Bournemouth as they take on Newcastle. I think this is one of the longest distances you will see two teams travel in the Premier League, from the Northeast all the way down south to the coast. And obviously Newcastle coming off a rough midweek. They will go to Dortmund, losing the Champions League. They have some injuries. That being said, you have to beat Bournemouth. So I'm going Newcastle money line over 1.5 and over 7.5 corners in that match at plus 126. This is a must win game for Newcastle right now. They have to get out of this streak. And I think they're one of many teams right now that is limping into the international break.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a play from this game too. And like you said, limping, no Dan Burn. Looks like injury is more serious than initially expected. So they've been playing a right back at right wing and Livramento, which we saw in the midweek. Didn't really work out for them that great. But yeah, this is a game they have to win. Bournemouth is absolutely trash. Apologies to any listeners out there who are Bournemouth fans, but it is what it is.
If you're a Bournemouth fan and you're watching this on YouTube, please comment right now. Hey, I'm a Bournemouth fan and I'm insulted.
Yeah, please I can't talk as a Chelsea fan because we also look like garbage. But this is a bet that piqued my interest, and it was Newcastle to win either 1-0, 2-0, or 3-0. One thing they do when they are reeling, though, is they play a lot of defensive football, and they try to just grind out a dirty victory. And this just screams like a 1-0, 2-0, maybe a penalty to win. And that's at plus 250, that correct score combination. So that's my play from this one.
All right, let's go to Sunday morning. There's some more favorable games on Sunday, but I'm not going to lie. I hate this whole EPL weekend. It feels like a lot of trap lines. Absolutely do not fall for Tottenham against Wolves early on Saturday morning, by the way. Like half of Tottenham is either hurt or injured. You hate to see that, folks. You really see it.
I don't hate Wolves draw or win. That could be I didn't play it, but that's one that if you are awake and can't go back to sleep and want some action, maybe toss a little bit on Wolves double chance.
It's a cheeky one. All right. Going to West Ham, taking on Nottingham Forest. West Ham did get a win today in the Europa League. I gave this stat out last week on the podcast. Both teams to score is a regular hitter for West Ham. It's hitting 13 out of 17 matches so far this season. It did not hit today in their 1-0 victory against Olympiacos. But West Ham are also winless coming off Europa League matches. They're playing Nottingham Forest at home, but here are the 3 games they've played coming off of Europa League. They lost 3-1 at Liverpool, and then the other 2, they dropped points at home against Newcastle in that 2-2 draw, and they dropped points at home against Everton. So this could be a great place for the double chance Newcastle. It could be a draw no bet. I'm sorry. It could be a great place for draw no bet Forest, double chance Forest. I'm not going that far. I'm going both teams to score and 22 or more shots in the match at plus 110. That is asking a lot for Nottingham Forest, who don't have a great road record, to get a goal away from their home stadium. But there's something about West Ham coming off of these days. And frankly, West Ham have not been great in the Prem of late. We've seen Forest kind of be chippy with a lot of teams, and they've scored in more road games than you think they have. It's not necessarily about winning here for Forest. It's about them getting a goal. And I think they can do it on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that bet at all. I watched a lot of that West Ham game today and needed more than one goal, but needed that a lot this week. But I digress. Let's go to that Sunday slate. Like you said, I've got 2 more plays here before we get to the Liverpool-Brentford game, and that's Aston Villa. We've been riding Villa a lot this season, and that's not going to stop for me this weekend. I think one of the most not spoken about trash teams this year is Fulham. I think they're absolutely garbage. And if you're a Fulham fan listening to this, let me know too, because I just called your team out as well. But Villa -1.5 plus 164. Villa are also kind of can't keep clean sheets. I couldn't get the word. Can't keep clean sheets. So I think Fulham could get on the scoreboard here, but Villa can also put 3 or 4 on the board. So I think they win this game by at least 2 goals. And at plus 164, I really like it. And another team that got off to a hot start, kind of cooled down, but got a great result at Ajax in the midweek. That's Brighton. They're coming off a high. They're slowly getting healthier too. Stupinian could be back this weekend, something to monitor. But Fati looks great. He looks like he's finally hitting his stride there. Simone Adingra, the teenager, looks fantastic as well. Give me Brighton team total over 2.5 -120 against arguably one of the worst Premier League teams we've seen in a very long time in Sheffield.
Yeah, Brighton are on my list right now if I'm not touching. I'm gonna reevaluate things after the international break. And Villa, I'm still reeling from Villa not getting a result against Forest last weekend and not doing anything in that game, frankly. So but I like both of those plays. Let me go to Liverpool real quick. They're taking on Brentford. A couple quick notes for you. Alexis McAllister is serving a 1-game suspension for yellow card accumulation, and Curtis Jones is out. Those are 2 big pieces in the Liverpool midfield. Gravenberch is also expected to miss the match. So you're talking about a midfield 3 of Endo, Szoboszlai, and Harvey Elliott. And Endo did not look great today in that match against Toulouse. Frankly, Liverpool have walked through their last 2 matches where they kind of feel like, oh, we're better than this team and we're hot shit and we're going to win the game. And what happens? You draw 1-1 at Luton and you play an atrocious game today at Toulouse. So I think my favorite bet of the entire weekend, my favorite parlay piece for the entire weekend, both teams to score in this match. Brentford have been cheeky of late. They've gotten goals on the road, scored a couple at Stamford Bridge. They've been playing decent footy of late. I feel like they're a physical side. They're going to push Liverpool around a little bit on Sunday. This is a big test for Liverpool. I like both teams to score 25 or more shots. Mo Salah shot on target plus 146.
Yeah, I like that. My only play from this is both teams to score and the over 2.5 at -120. Like you said, last week against Luton, not a great performance, but shout out to Luis Diaz. The news did come that his father was safely returned. He's with the police now, so that's huge. We saw his goal, I guess you could call it celebration, when he lifted his shirt saying like "Free my father." So happy for Luis Diaz, but also Klopp completely overthought and overestimated Toulouse in the midweek. The lineup he put out to start was just abysmal, to be quite honest with you. I agree with some of the post-game coverage that I heard on CBS Sports, where it was like, I know you want to rest your players in games like this, but how about they get the job done by scoring the goals, go up early, and then rest them in the second half? Because either way, if you're losing, you're bringing them on in the second half in a situation they didn't want to be in. Like, they're probably not properly warmed up because they didn't start. They're probably not in it. They're going to take at least 25 minutes to get into form. And by that time, you've got only 15 minutes now to find an equalizer or a game winner. And Liverpool, they got it going very, very late. VAR came into question once again, which we're now seeing every week. But
it's not even every week. It's every day. Every day this week, there was a controversy about VAR. One game in particular came back with us talking about VAR.
I think the handball was the correct call, but I think it went on too long is the problem. I think it was a definite handball, and the referee should have called it on the field because that was very obvious.
And I don't want to get too far in the weeds here. That's my issue. Yeah. It's Alexis McAllister allegedly handled the ball, whatever. It bopped off his chest and hits him in the arm. He passes it. It gets passed around. It passed around. Toulouse intercept it. Liverpool win it back. Then it gets crossed in the box and Liverpool score. You had ample opportunity to call that handball and move on from it. The referee should have, and frankly, under my understanding of the way the rules are called, it shouldn't have been. The handball with VAR is only supposed to be if the guy who scored it handled it. And that's not what happened. So it's just bad refereeing. I don't want to get too far into the weeds. Shall we move to the big,
I guess the game of the week, just because they're two big names, but from how they've been playing and how they look on the table, it's not really a top of the table clash as you would think so.
Chelsea will host Manchester City, who have overtaken Tottenham. Man City are cruising right now. Another big win in the Champions League. Erling Haaland just doing his thing again. We all thought he was maybe going to be injured in the midweek. Nope, he starts. He scores a couple goals. I have a couple quick stats I want to throw out there for you. City have conceded in 7 of 11 EPL matches, 3 out of the 4 Champions League match, and the 1 League Cup match, which they lost. They've conceded goals in 4 out of their 6 away EPL matches. John Stones picked up an injury, expected to be out for a little while again. He's kind of been that steal in the midfield, playing in front of that front four. We've seen Chelsea score against all of the big teams they've played this season. I love both teams to score in over 2.5 at plus 105. City and over 1.5 is at plus 105. Manchester City and both teams to score plus 240 is also, it's a sprinkle, a smidge of a sprinkle, quarter unit for me because of how cold I am. I feel like I'm playing half units all weekend long anyways, just because how ice cold I am. But I don't think it's ridiculous tier to think that Chelsea could get something at home. And especially with what we just talked about. I'm not saying a result. I'm not saying a result. I'm saying a goal, a singular goal. I also, like I said, City's defense hasn't exactly been stonewall. They've been great. They're on a crazy run right now. But like I said, goals in 7 of 11 matches. There's stats there to back it up. Are we saying that there's not a chance of a crazy VAR call and Cole Palmer steps up to the spot and buries it again for Chelsea?
Revenge game.
At plus 240 and City both to score, I'm going to play that number.
Yeah, I like that as well. I only have one play, and it's just the regular over 2.5 at minus 124. It's kind of an emotional hedge because, I mean, before the 2 red cards against Tottenham, it looked like they were going to absolutely steamroll Chelsea. And this is a City team that's, like you said, all cylinders are just cooking right now. Rodri's back. Stones is healthy. Their midfield is looking like it's healthy and they can rotate well. Like, Doku and Alvarez didn't even start in the midweek. We saw Kovacic and, Nunez get the start. Foden's goal was a worldie. So this is a very scary team to take on right now. I think City get the job done, but I'm more confident in the over because even if it ends 2-1, the over 2.5 hits here at minus 124.
Yep, there we go. I have some European plays I'll put on Pickett. If you want to follow us and see how ice cold we are, you download the Pickett app. It's the best way to track your bets and to follow along, see what your friends are doing. It's free to join. And if you sign up using our promo code +money, that's all one word, all lowercase, you can win $3 or $100 and you support this podcast. So we appreciate you doing that. And another great way to support this podcast, like and review and subscribe on YouTube, on whatever podcast app you're following, and follow us at the +money pod. I cannot wait for the international break. We need This podcast needs a breather and a mental reset. And
Doesn't mean I'm not going to bet the international
Doesn't mean I'm not going to
break.
bet. Doesn't mean I'm not going to bet. But I'm declaring this right now. We're not doing a podcast next week. We are taking a 1 week sabbatical to.
Well, I mean, before we even go to international break, let's talk about how we're going to sweep this weekend, though. We're gonna sweep this weekend, and then we're going to take a break. Yes.
But the boys, we've been running into the wall pretty hard since mid-August, and it's time. If I could take a weekend trip to Florida to catch some sun, I would absolutely be doing that right now. I can't, but I would. All right, let's get out of here and send these people on their way. Thank you for listening. Let's try to stay positive this weekend, and best of luck.